Again, we're going to have a cool discussion on law. My brother Ant, I don't know if you want to start this, but What is the law? When the Bible talks about the law, what is the law? When, obviously I know in Christendom, there's a whole plethora of ideas on what this might be, but what is the law?
Right. To me, the law is when the children of Israel were getting moved from Egypt and going on their journey to the promised land. Their leader, Moses, had a really close connection with God, and God kind of downloaded to him all the different things and statutes and way to live morally and how he wanted his children to go about life. That's kind of the gist of it. What about yourself? How would you kind of...
Obviously, I would add to that too. Like I'd include that because you have the 10 Commandments in Exodus 20, where God lays out the 10 Commandments for the children of Israel to follow. Ideally, the world. Obviously, if you're a Christian, you're going to follow this as well. But like my idea of the law, synopsis wise, is just the first 5 books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, because there's just so much that's encapsulated in there, and then everything else in the Old Testament actually dovetails from those first 5 books. So that's kind of what I refer to as the law. What I think is more important in terms of an idea to encapsulate is, obviously we have the law, but the idea of like, okay, are we under the law or are we under grace? So, to understand what the law is very simple to understand what it is. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not lie. Thou shalt not even fornicate. I know that's not part of the 10 Commandments, but thou shalt not covet your neighbor's spouse. Thou shalt not dishonor thy parents or dishonor the Sabbath day. But now it's like, well, when the Bible talks about how we're not under the law, but we're under grace, what does that mean?
Yeah. For me, we go to the life of Jesus and what he said when he was here. He said, I have not come to abolish the law or the prophets, but I've come to fulfill them, right? He talks about that before his Sermon on the Mount, where he kind of goes into a bunch of details about the law. To me, when you ask me that, it's like Jesus saying, I've come to fulfill it. What does fulfill mean? If you were to ask me, if someone says like, I've fulfilled my duties, to me, that means like I've completed it. I have finished it, right? So it's, what do we view when Jesus says that I have come to fulfill it? Do we view it as it's complete or not? What does it mean for us that he's completed it? In another scripture, it says that he's the firstborn among many brethren to be resurrected, right? So what does that mean for us in our death and resurrection to new life because of what he's done?